Welcome to the Suburbs to Sandy Shoreline podcast, sponsored here by Mike Knabel from Compass. The reason for the title, let's give an example of your background. We're Suburbs here, of course, is Chicago. What does the Sandy Shorelines refer to?
So Sandy Shorelines refers to my hometown, the town I grew up, which is Southwest Florida, particularly Naples, Florida, an area that I actually built my my real estate career some years back.
Okay.
So yeah, what I'm trying to do here is obviously partner with Dean. Dean, I really appreciate you linking up with me. Thank you very much.
It's
Dean's
the first
a great
of many podcasts.
Yes, it is. I'm excited to get this started, and basically, this is just an introductory podcast going over who I am, Mike Knabel, from Naples, Florida, now in the Chicago market with Compass Real Estate. So I have a team in the Naples, Florida market. Actually, my co-principal broker as well as partner is my mother. We're a 3-generation team in that Naples market. So
you grew up there. That's where you grew up. That's where you built your whole business. And
absolutely.
Okay.
Built my book of business in the Naples market again. Started years back. I've ramped my book of business up in that particular market to a $15 million book of production year over year, which is growing, and being in this market.
So someone has to ask, because Naples, as long as I can remember, is just booming. So why do you? And it seems like everyone in Illinois goes to Florida. You're doing the reverse. So you got to explain that.
I'm doing the opposite.
Yes.
I am doing the complete opposite of what everybody does. Yes, they grow up here and they move down to the beautiful weather, right? And Florida for retirement or other various reasons. Right. And the main reason is I have a twofold reason for moving here. Number one being family. Okay. I have a great opportunity to pursue family. Family is what comes first for me.
Right.
However, with pursuing, growing my family here in the Barrington market. Actually, we live in Barrington Village.
So the Northwest Suburbs area.
The Northwest Suburbs, correct. Yeah. I did see a great feeder market opportunity actually from the Northwest or Western Chicago suburbs to the Southwest Florida market.
That's a big deal. When you talk to people, we're buying in Florida, more than 50% of the time I hear it's Naples or that area, Fort Myers or Marco Island type of thing.
It is.
It's very, very common. It's almost like a beeline. It's connected, right?
100%. Very, very peculiar. I go out to dinner with my better half, Natalie, frequently, strike up new conversations, go to the coffee shop, downtown Barrington Village. I'm conversational. I always have to talk to people in the sales business, and where are you from? Oh, Naples. Oh, I have a house in Naples. I have a secondary property there, income producing Airbnb, or we just have a seasonal home which we visited in the winter. And with that being said, that kind of clicked with me as I was visiting up here, not quite established in this market and working in the real estate market in the Chicago suburbs. Is that hey, there's great opportunity here to help people, considering that, maybe they already do have a property in Southwest Florida, or that's on the horizon, maybe.
That's a huge connection, because it is a huge connection between Chicago and Naples. So
absolutely,
being able to service that both is a big deal. So
yeah,
who did you? Tell us about your move here, who you work with here. You're at Compass in Barrington then, right?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm with Compass. Compass is the nation's number one independent, brokerage.
Doing wonderful things too.
Doing great things. There's a lot of things we can talk about that on a later podcast too, with how they're actually trying to ramp up their what you call not even coming soon, their private exclusive listings, which is an exclusive listing just to Compass. And again, we'll note that your market for a later podcast.
But it's interesting, Compass to Compass. Then here, come join our network.
It's a great multi-market platform that they have. So my partner and I, Kathy, made the switch over from Remax to Compass, and we had the vision to expand our business, which we've been doing, and I've taken to a whole different level, and I've linked up with the Heidi Seagren team in the Barrington location.
Very familiar with Heidi. She's been one of the top agents for a long, long time. So.
The reason I met you, Dean.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. We met at one of our weekly Wednesday meetings. Shout out to Heidi. Thank you, Heidi.
Yeah.
So great team, very, very knowledgeable in the the Barrington market. She does a lot of business in Barrington. However, we do cover a lot of the suburbs as well, some into the city, but generally that northwest west to south suburbs. The Heidi Seagren team, Mike Knabel with Seagren team can go ahead and handle you there for sure. And one of the main reasons why I did link up with the Seagren Fine Homes team, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but she was actually the founding agent for the Compass.
So the first agent for Compass in Barrington.
The Compass Barrington office location, correct. So she started all that there. Another thing is, you got to go after production, so I need a team with the right systems in place, that actually is producing, so some cool keynotes to take away with our team, Seagren Fine Homes team, is that in 2023 we actually had two distinctive awards, actually. So we were actually Real Trends top 80. We were under the top 100. We were 85 for small teams nationally. Okay. That's across the nation. That's not just Compass. That is nationally. Okay. So that's a big award. And then also our local board, NASBAR, our local real estate board, gives out awards annually as well. And generally speaking, we rank in that top 5% for the board.
Quality. Well, I've always said in the industry, I'm in the mortgage industry, is that with all the discount out there, in our industry, you should rate shop. That's all important. Your industry commission. It really does matter who you work with, though. What I do, and I don't know if we'll use this, but here. Mm-hmm. What I like to do is make my life easier. I like to align myself with people who know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
If I'm, if I join with someone, just please be honest up front, so I don't have to spend half my time shopping around doing something. I can trust you. We develop a good working relationship. So
very true.
That's really, really important. So
who you hire matters. I always say that. It's cliche, but
but it matters. Who you work with matters in this industry. It's
yes, 100%.
So that's you joined up with the quality team, and that's an important thing. So.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be with them. It's a great source of knowledge. Support. I'm surely aligned, for good immediate success out here, which I'm already seeing, and to further help, this whole feeder market dynamic that I'm building too. So,
all right. So now let's talk about Florida. You grew up in Naples.
Yep.
As I mentioned earlier, it's one of the hottest markets. So tell us a little about your history in that market and how you grew. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, Southwest Florida is a very, very hot destination market. For one, COVID was the main driver.
Well, even before that, actually, though.
Before,
for COVID, it just exploded.
It exploded, obviously, all politics aside and all that. Yeah. Favorable taxes, you name it, good weather in the wintertime, who wants to be, here again, why am I coming
favorable
up
taxes, no state income tax.
No state income tax.
It's almost like a no-brainer
Keynote.
at some point. Yeah,
Keynote. Absolutely.
It's like the surroundings say, take note, there's a reason people are flooding there, right?
100%. So that's always been that, like you said, Dean, it has been a big driver for the market. Again, COVID shutdowns and all that did drive the masses into the Southwest Florida market. We saw unprecedentedly low inventory levels, in that market, making it very, very hard to navigate buyers. Generally, in all cash market, there are loans. I know you do loans.
Right, we're licensed in Florida.
Licensed in Florida as well.
But like you said, for those past few years, it was a lot of cash market. What about your work there? Tell us about how you came into real estate in Naples.
Yeah, so it's a family business. My family is actually from Chicago. My mother's side of the family, let me say that. So they're from Chicago, therefore I have deep roots in Chicago. I've been coming up to Chicago. We had a lake house in Wisconsin, and we do that every summer.
The Chicago thing,
enjoy the nice weather, get out of the heat, the summer heat over there. It's a slower market too, so we can enjoy our leisure time. Yes, again, we're 3 generations. So my grandparents started the real estate business there. Of course, my mother, took after it. So again, my mother's my co-principal broker and a partner with the Kathy Michael team. That's our team with Compass Naples.
So it's Compass to Compass, which is
Compass to Compass.
Yes. And when people say you could be a service in Naples, technology makes things so much easier. It's
big time.
It's not you're passing them off to anyone. You're still servicing the southwest suburbs and the sandy beaches of
For
southwest
sure.
Florida. Yeah,
That's
so,
it.
right.
That's it. Yeah, it's that one-stop shop that I'm
Right.
looking for. I mean,
Right.
Dean and you and I had a conversation actually this morning before we started our podcast, saying that there's a lot of guesswork that goes into finding a referral partner.
Right.
So you don't know who you're getting. What you're going to do generally in trying to find that referral partner is you're going to vet. You're going to vet
Right.
agents, you're going to look for production, but again, you don't know that agent. If you're going from market to market, say you're going from, Illinois, Chicago, suburbs of Chicago, into that Southwest Florida market,
Right.
you don't get that face-to-face introduction. You actually don't know, who that person is. All you're looking at is stats, their volume. You talk to them a couple times on the phone. Maybe they're going to pawn you off to a buyer's agent, that sort of thing.
Like that.
You
But
just
working
don't
with
know.
you, they have a relation with you up here, and that you're not just expanding into Florida.
Exactly.
That's your home base. I mean, you have roots here in Chicago and in Florida. So that's a pretty strong advocacy for working with you here in both these markets.
Very
I think.
true.
So yeah.
Very true.
So when they say Southwest Florida, Naples, it's bigger than that, the market, though, because I always think of, tell me, am I right to think like Marco Island and north of Fort Myers, and it's wherever the airport is, and all the way till you hit the water of the swamps, right?
Absolutely.
Whatever that is, right. So,
So I call it the Naples greater area market.
Right.
Naples is just that kind of shiny beacon,
Right.
It's
like in the center, right?
Fairly in the center.
Right.
It's you have. It's just there's a lot of good publicity
Right.
for Naples. It's very clean. It's upscale. It's always growing. Collier County.
Right.
Actually one of the larger counties in the state of Florida. But there's a lot of diversity to that market as well. But outside of Naples, you go travel Bonita Springs north, Estero north, Fort Myers, even into Cape Coral, or as far south as Marco Island.
Right.
And that whole area is what an area that I have covered, still cover. Which the Kathy Michael team can service, in that Southwest Florida market.
So I want to ask, we may not have to use, but I'm fascinated with the Florida market, like I'm going to talk about, where coming from Chicago, people don't have to be on the water. That's why Scottsdale is so big, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So let's go from there. So you mentioned Estero. Like I only heard of Estero a few years ago.
Yeah.
But when you get the concept of people coming from Chicago in February, it's just north of Bonita Springs, right?
It is,
And it's just before Fort Myers, am I right?
100%, yeah.
So why wouldn't it be another nice destination, right? I mean, if you're there for the weather, you realize you're not confined in Florida, because the main attraction for someone from the Midwest is the weather.
Absolutely.
So, and again, like anything else, living on the water is astronomical, just like it is here in Chicago, type of thing. So you shouldn't just be focused on, I need to be in Naples or I need to be here.
Yeah.
That greater area they mentioned is all appealing to the Midwest, I would think.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely, and to further elaborate on, say, the Bonita Springs or Estero market, I've always said this, to clients, in that market, if they're buyers, you have beach access in Fort Myers. Right. You have beach access in Bonita Springs. You do not have beach access in Estero. So you're a little bit landlocked.
That's what I thought. That's what it
in
was.
Estero.
Got it.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can still be, everybody wants to be west. West is near the water,
Correct.
near the
Right.
beach. So the thing about Estero is you can get a good bang for your buck, west. You're near 41, we call it Tamiami Trail.
Right,
you want to be off of Tamiami Trail. It's always desirable to be west of Tamiami Trail, meaning you're going to be very, very close proximity to any public or private beach access.
Right.
But
you still have the weather, the Florida weather. That's what it reminds me of. That's what I remember
true.
when I was driving through Estero. I go, this is built up, how built up it was, and I
Oh,
never
yeah.
knew it 20 years ago when I was there. So anyway,
yeah.
we can talk about that.
Estero is growing, gentrifying that whole market. Absolutely.
All right, so let's go back on your team in Florida then.
Yeah.
So throw this out there. So you have someone, like I said, it's almost a beeline from Chicago to Naples.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something you want to let your clients know, though, too. It's
absolutely.
It's like not double selling, but just down the road, because Barrington, sometimes the northwest suburbs could be a higher end market or what have you. If they know that, that's a comforting thing, rather than, like you just said, going, okay, we want to purchase in Southwest Florida, but you don't know anyone there, so you have to do all that vetting. It's a huge advantage that you offer, I would think.
Exactly. We take the guesswork out. It makes anybody more it's daunting. It can be daunting, moving from one market to an unfamiliar market.
Right.
But if you're connected with the right resources, it takes a lot of the guesswork out, like I'm emphasizing. It just makes you more comfortable with making a big leap. And also one of the probably larger financial transactions you're going to make in a lifetime, which is a home sale or home purchase.
Correct. So you had and you still have that established business again, but just family moved up here, so
Yep.
that's what that was.
Yeah,
up here,
still
so.
very well established and growing in the Southwest Florida market, and that's key.
All right, so we talked about your history, but let's talk about how you do your business. I've noticed when I talk to different people in the industry, it's kind of there's the basics that keeps your business coming, the referral base. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I've worked.
Yep.
Is referrals, and the way I deal with deal, I just work. I take everything personally, realizing that one deal, the client doesn't care about the rest of my database or my pipeline. So
Yes.
it's really, really important to them. So I would imagine, is that how, tell me how you work and how you built that up.
100%. The worst thing, I think, in my opinion, is to buy Zillow leads. With that being said, I try to steer clear of that. I mean, we've done.
What's a different type of buyer then?
Different type of buyer.
And I just
Different
couldn't do
type of
that.
buyer.
I'm trying to, right, it's what it is. It's a challenge where
Exactly.
there's no trust there. Like, what do you have, and that's it type of thing. Yeah.
Very true. Very true. So I think the best investment is to invest in relationships.
Right.
I have a very big relationship business. That's basically 95% of my business. I do outside lead generation, but everything for me is cultivating clients through friendships, through different venues of commonality.
Well, you want to like the person you work with, right?
100%.
And as you mentioned, as you're out there shopping, it's not a one-time transaction. That's how I look at it. I tell my clients I want to keep you for life, so I want you coming back.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
It's not a one-time transaction. That's really, really important.
Yeah, in any given client that I work with, we'll do one transaction, and before we do our next, which is generally a couple of years later, the Naples market, the Southwest Florida market moves quickly. People don't generally stay too long in one particular property, but in between doing deals with, say, one family, I get plenty of other referrals from that family to their friends, their work colleagues, whatever it is.
And that's a good reflection on your business.
Huge reflection.
Yeah, correct.
Right,
yeah.
So with that being said, is the majority of, our business, in Southwest Florida with the Kathy Michael team at Compass is, either past clients coming back or those Allegiant clients to us referring friends and family. So we can save our marketing money, and we don't have to go there and buy Zillow leads and get cold.
And that's when you can pat yourself on the back saying you're doing something right.
100%.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
That's good. So what we've seen since March of 2022 is the concept of the seller's market. From my end on the mortgage side, it's either cash offers. If I'm offering a pre-approval, there's no way they're accepting the contingency. And I'd have clients who compete against cash offers. That's starting to change now, right?
It is.
Okay. It's just after 2 years, inventory's coming up. What's the rough outlook on that?
So the consensus is there is growing supply. There's growing inventory,
and that was bound to happen after. Everything's in cycles.
Absolutely.
Right.
What comes up must come down. What goes down must come up. And in this situation, what was down is on the rise here. So we're coming out of that cycle where now. How does that affect the buyers that you work with? Yeah, so as we transition from that seller's market to a more buyer-friendly home market nationally, what buyers are seeing is more bargaining power, under their belt here. Possibly, what wouldn't have been a home sale contingency for a purchase may be for that particular home sale that's maybe in a less desirable area, maybe priced a little bit too high, but the buyer's going to compromise on price to be able to have that seller accept that home sale contingency.
And that's important in your job because having that information during this as things transition, that's important to let either your seller or your buyer know.
Very, very important.
This is where we're at now. I know where we were in March or last year, or this is where it's going. So that's really, really important.
Very important. Yes. You don't want to give your sellers unrealistic expectations moving into this, shifting buyer's market.
Right.
That they're going to be getting, 10 showings out of the gate when you launch the property, especially if they know they're launched within a fair market range.
Right.
That it's priced to sell, not just priced to sit. So we definitely don't want that. But also, giving them the expectation too that, we're not selling for 100 percentile of asking price. We still could be high 90s, but again, buyers are going to negotiate now. They're not going to be knocking your door down. Set the expectations real.
And the other thing is, finally, after all these years where there's been pressure on the Federal Reserve to lower rates, they finally indicated that there will be at least one rate cut this fall, maybe not two. So I would imagine, people understand a Fed rate cut's not a one-to-one correlation with interest rates, but that is finally putting pressure that we should see rates going down. So I think that would be another aspect of buyers coming off, taking advantage of that.
It's going to speed it up. It's going to take some buyers off the sidelines.
Right.
It can even, with that being said, it's going to motivate some sellers to go ahead and list, because there's, the buyer pool is going to move on their property instead of the property just sitting there gaining days on market,
So is the Chicago market similar to the national market, or is it unique? Because I look at Chicago, and it's just such a massive city with massively different demographics. It's kind of hard to say this is the Chicago market. I mean, I can go 3 blocks in a completely different neighborhood, right?
Very true.
Like you said, you're in Barrington versus a suburb 2 miles away, which is completely different. So it's hard to put those statistics in Chicago.
It is. Yeah. It's very hard.
Okay.
It's very hard.
Chicago area.
The Chicago area, Chicagoland, if you want to call it, is it plays a big role in the national statistics. A lot of these things point to the Midwest, and the Chicago market as a whole, whether it's Chicago suburbs or Chicago, yes, it's very dynamic. You have your different markets that can be completely different from an hour drive away.
Right.
But as a whole, when we start looking at absorption rates, which we'll go into as well, it is making that shift. We're finally making that shift from sellers to buyers. The funny and ironic thing is that we're, in some areas, historically low amount of supply. There just isn't enough to show buyers, particularly when rates drop, just like you said. So we need to speed the market up. We need listings, desperately need listings, because there are buyers for these listings, and once those rates do drop down, that's a big motivator, and those buyers are willing, ready, and able, and it because you're qualifying for purchase.
Right. So can you talk a little about the absorption rate? We were talking about that earlier, and rather than buyer's market, seller's market, there's indicators that you can see what's coming, right?
Exactly. So using an absorption rate, basically, it's how quickly homes are selling in a specific market over a specific time. So what I did here for us, for simplicity's sake, is I kind of, I merged everything together. I took an absorption rate for the whole Chicago area market. So absorption rate generally, so what we look at are 2 different things. So above a 20% absorption rate indicates a strong seller's market, and below a 15% absorption rate indicates a strong buyer's market. And if I said that backwards, I'm sorry. Above 20% sellers, below 15% strong buyer's market. So what we're seeing, even with our Southwest Florida market and the Chicago market, is we're in between, actually, that 15 and 20%.
So that speaks to the transition you were talking about.
The transition, exactly. And it brings everything. It ties it into a national perspective there, too, because it's moving. And we're looking at absorption rates, whether they're almost similar. Our absorption rate in the big Chicago area here is, don't let me get this mixed up, is 16%. Our absorption rate in the Southwest Florida market is 17%.
So it's similar. So
similar.
It's a trend.
Exactly.
Trend.
But what everything's moving is moving down to that 15%, which is going to indicate that strong buyer's market. And it just takes time, Now,
when you say strong buyer's market, it's still a healthy market. It's the shift where I always look at, the lockdown where the Federal Reserve printed $5 trillion in money, so of course rates are under 3%. That's not reality.
Not at all.
And so when this transition is now, things are shifting. It's no longer seller's market. It's maybe more a realistic market, you should say. I mean,
it is.
We have to get back to the reality, I would think.
It is. Yeah. So if you take, a piece of paper and you look at interest rates, right, over a 50-year span, you and I were talking about a rate that you had years back at 8%, which was considered good, right?
At the time, back 20-some years ago, over 8%, and no one cared because it was perspective. So I think the challenge is that further away we get from the lockdown and from those rates, the more reality sets in. And this is, right now, a good rate is under 7%. You're in the 6s. That's a pretty good historic rate.
It is. It is. And it's just a matter of time, for these things to develop, and for both buyers and sellers to understand that, sub 3%, interest rates are a thing of the past, likely to never come back. Should have never happened to begin with. But
you mentioned earlier, like buyers sitting on the sidelines. In your notes, you told me earlier, date the rate, marry the home, right?
Exactly.
And I remember I had a borrower, was it 2 years ago when the rates gone, should I wait for another year? I said, have you done the math what the cost of waiting is? Your down payment will have to be every next year. You lose that appreciation. You're paying down a mortgage. Plus, you'll refinance it at a lower rate
Absolutely.
if you need to. So, that shouldn't be a factor. I think if you're coming to talk to me to buy a home,
Yeah.
then now's the time to buy.
Yeah.
That it shouldn't be. There are other factors that should go into it, but
Big
that
time.
shouldn't be it. The rate shouldn't be it if you're in it
Yeah.
for long term. So.
Yeah. I mean, don't hesitate. Waiting is not the play. A real estate investment is a lengthy
Right.
game. I mean, you're always going to have, no matter what market, you're going to have that capital appreciation factor there.
And historic trends, like what's
Yeah.
the trend from 2004 and now if you held on to real estate, the
Oh,
return
yeah.
is astronomical. It's such a phenomenal return.
Wherever you are.
Yeah, wherever
Granted,
you are.
yes, there's maybe those very minute and specific areas that haven't done too well, but in a broad sense of things,
Right.
you've surely gained good to very, very good, capital appreciation there. Yeah.
So let's talk Florida market then. So again,
Yeah.
from the Midwest, everyone thinks Florida is just the place to be and it's
Uh-huh.
booming. So,
Yeah.
I know when they have corrections, these are needed corrections, you would say, or what's happening there?
Yeah.
Give us a synopsis of the Florida market.
So Florida market is undergoing a very, very needed correction. So we're seeing definitely a more notable, transition from a hot seller's market to a buyer's market.
Okay.
So if we want to talk just post-pandemic inventory numbers, supply numbers,
Right.
If I can just kind of zero it in just to Naples, we were actually under 1,000. We were under 900 or 800 units available in all of Collier County, all of
Okay.
Naples, Florida, which is unprecedentedly low. That is
Right.
severely low, bleeding out, So we needed inventory. And what happened? We got inventory.
Okay, so it's back.
Inventory is back. That's what's driving the market. Actually, inventory is up roughly 39% over the past 12 months.
And so that goes back to what we talked
market.
about, like the
Yeah.
lockdown. That
Uh-huh.
was flock to Florida,
Yeah.
you're locked down, no state tax, income tax, it's a place to be, to reality now. We're
Yep.
just getting back to reality. So it's not a bad thing what we're talking about. It's just the market's shifting to a little more reality. So,
It is, yeah.
So back to, what did you say, what was the percentage you used?
39 about
Okay.
over the past 12 months, so 39% increase in inventory. So that's big, and it's growing too. We have seen a marginal dip
Okay.
in inventory numbers, but again, just like we discussed, it's a little cyclical. And what's happening is it's driving up. No matter what, things drive it, like off season, summertime, wintertime. But ultimately, inventory will continue to rise.
So if someone was thinking of Florida, because people talk about a second home, it's years long concept. This would be a good time to explore that, I would think.
Great
It's just
time.
a great time.
Great
actually,
time to
right,
explore. You have plenty of inventory on the shelves, and you can get yourself a good deal. The funny and unique thing, ironic, I would say, about the Florida market too, is despite the state of the market, talking about inventory levels on the rise,
Right.
pretty significantly, the average home sale price is actually up over the past 12 months, 1.5%.
Okay,
I mean,
so-
it's pretty stagnant.
So
Yeah.
that's indicating the strong Florida market, though.
It is, yeah.
The Naples area
It's-
market.
It's a
So-
good investment. It's going
Right.
to hold,
So as we mentioned, people, which is very common here in the Midwest, that beeline to Naples. The good thing about you being here, someone can come to you rather than making that call down there to someone they don't know.
Yeah.
It's second nature to you to prepare an analysis or
Oh, yeah.
what area you're looking for, and you can get them that information just like that.
Yeah,
Because you
yeah.
still have your team down there.
I do, yeah.
And you know the market so
Oh
well
yeah,
too. So.
yeah. I watch this market just as much as I watch that market. At any given time, I am working with customers or clients in our market here, in the Chicago area, and down in the Naples, Florida market. Whether or not it's a client of mine or I'm working with a team member, I am well privy of market stats in real time. What is actually happening? I have to be.
And for someone
Yeah.
who doesn't know this market, that's important to have that information. handy.
Very, very, very advantageous.
Right.
I think absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So as we mentioned, that connection that you have, that is, you're actually just servicing something that's already existing between the Chicago area and the Naples area, is to be
Yes.
able to service both. So that's why we call this Suburbs to the sandy shorelines of Southwest Florida. So this is the first of our many podcasts, I hope, and I appreciate, thanks for having me on here. And
Thank
so-
you for having me, Dean.
and
I really appreciate it.
yeah,
I think we're creating something, really, really useful,
And valuable.
good sort of
Yes,
valuable.
good source of information, I think.
So yeah.
So thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.